While there is little Democrats and Republicans can agree upon in Congress these days, the one area where they do find common ground is the need for prescription drug reform.
President Trump has also moved forward with steps to lower the high cost of medicine. CBS 4's Jim DeFede is here now with some of the proposals.
The high cost of prescription drugs has been an issue for years, but it is taking on an added sense of urgency as both parties are feeling the pressure from their constituents. Last month, the heads of the 7 largest drug companies in the world were hauled before a Senate committee, but none of them would commit to lowering drug prices. This was particularly frustrating for senators who pointed out that taxpayers often help finance the research that goes into many of these drugs.
Drug prices are astronomically high because that's where pharmaceutical companies and their investors want them.
I think that you charge more here because you can, and American taxpayers are subsidizing all of you to be able to have incredibly high profits, the fastest growing part of the healthcare system, and I think the people in Michigan and across the country deserve better.
My constituents can't figure out what the price of their medication is going to be day to day, and despite a wonderful staff, I feel like I need a PhD in prescription drug pricing to understand how the heck this industry works.
Joining me now to discuss what is being done is Max Richtman, President and CEO of the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. Max, thanks for coming back on.
Good to see you, Jim.
So let's start with the basic question. Why are drug prices so high? Is it simply that easy to say it's the drug prices are high because the manufacturers want them that high?
Well, they're set that high because there's no leverage. The government could have leverage, but it isn't using that leverage with the pharmaceutical companies. I watched some of the Senate hearings last week, and I have to say, I found it appalling that these executives, I think of 7 of the largest pharmaceutical companies, tried to portray themselves as misunderstood humanitarians who are being accused of not paying attention to what the people need. That's not right.
It almost reminded me of the the cigarette manufacturers when they were hauled before Congress. But my question is, do you get the sense that this is a watershed moment, that something is going to be done about prescription drug prices?
Absolutely. I think I just spent the weekend with some Democratic senators over in Naples, Florida, and one of the things that came out in some of our informal discussions was the need to bring down the cost of prescription drugs. So many campaigns for Congress, House, Senate, Democrat, Republican, challengers, incumbents, were focused on the high cost of prescription drugs. This is something that has got to change, and I think it will be changed. We're hearing more and more bipartisan solutions for change and that will hold down the cost of prescription drugs.
All right, let's talk about some specifics that could be done. I know that, for instance, there's the Medicare Negotiations and Competitive Licensing Act, which would basically give the idea of allowing the federal government the ability to essentially bulk buy, to negotiate directly with pharmaceutical companies to bring down the cost of medicine. Is that accurate?
That is not only accurate, but it makes such common sense. You know, you have the federal government on Medicare representing over 40 million people. It is prohibited by law from negotiating with the pharmaceutical companies. That's a law that was passed in 2003 that created the Medicare Part D drug program, and it specifically prohibits the pharmaceutical companies from engaging in negotiations with the federal government. Why? You know who was in the room when that deal was made, and it wasn't the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. It was the pharmaceutical companies.
Well, to that point, and I'll get back to some of the suggestions, but let's call, I want to show one graphic up on the screen. It deals with the lobbying. This gives you a sense of how the pharmaceutical industry spends their lobbying money. In 2018 alone, you see some of the numbers here. That's nearly $70 million that they spent just on lobbying. I can also tell you that in 2016, during that election cycle, they spent about another $70 million in campaign contributions. So how do your members, how does the average citizen compete against such a powerhouse like Big Pharma?
Vote. vote at the elections. We voted overwhelmingly for candidates who discuss prescription drug costs and committed to reducing them. And that pressure's got to be maintained. You know what is so galling, and when I listen to some of those hearings, the pharmaceutical companies say, well, we've got to keep these prices up to be able to afford the research to bring life-saving drugs to market. What about all the money they're spending on the ads? You know, whether it's your station or any station in America, you cannot watch TV for more than half an hour without being bombarded by ads for prescription drugs. On top of that, most of that research is funded by taxpayers. Through the NIH, other programs, they're funding these research programs to help pharmaceutical companies bring these drugs to market. So taxpayers are paying to fund the research, and then they're paying for the high costs.
I want to go for a couple other quick solutions. We talked about directly negotiating for Medicare to be able to do what the VA and Medicaid currently does. That needs to be done, correct?
Absolutely.
And then the last thing is there's also a bill that would basically peg the price of prescription drugs to the median price in 5 major countries: Canada, the UK, France, Germany, and Japan. And one of the things that came out in that hearing is, even though drug prices are far lower in Canada and other countries, the pharmaceutical companies are still making huge profits there. They just make obscene profits here.
What we need to do is, the legislation you just discussed needs to be passed and signed into law. We need to change the pay-to-delay tactics that the pharmaceutical companies use to prevent and postpone generics from coming to market, which is the case now. That has bipartisan support. Senator Charles Grassley, the chair of the Finance Committee, Senator Klobuchar of Minnesota, both support that. We need to change the law to allow people to bring in import drugs, safe drugs, same drugs from Canada into Mexico, and also into the United States. That has to happen.
Max Richtman, I really appreciate your time, but the lesson here is when you see your congressperson, call your senator, let them know they need to do something about this. Remind them that it's not just an election year promise.
Be loud and clear.
All right. Elliot Rudabeh, back to you.